Welcome to Translate This, a podcast about language, culture, life, and the hilarity of it all. Well, welcome back, season 2
Welcome
fans.
back.
Lauren and Melissa are here to bring you another exciting episode of Translate This. And we have a special guest today that we have been waiting to record with for a long
Very
time.
long time.
We are very, very excited to introduce this person. And I'm going to go ahead and read you a little bit of information about our special guest, aka Superfan. So, Kelly Mills has been working in the fields of language access, project management, and cross cultural advising for over 30 years. She joined the elections division of the Oregon Secretary of State's office 2 years ago to implement a new law requiring voter pamphlets to be translated into the most spoken languages in Oregon and to convene a translation advisory council, otherwise known as a TAC council or a TAC. Prior to a new career in elections, she worked at the National Center for the State Courts, consulting with state court administrators for compliance of the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In this role, she applied her 16 years' experience as a statewide director of court language access services at the Oregon Judicial Department. And if that's not enough, with her team of schedulers, analysts, and linguists, she ensured the provision of statewide court interpreter and translation services and oversaw the certification of Oregon court interpreters. Her career in public service was sparked while, and this is great, I like this part, was sparked while with international students and faculty at 2 universities as a senior trainer for the Peace Corps in Central America and an English teacher in Latin America and Japan. Kelly holds a master's degree in international management and speaks Spanish. She usually is planning her next international trip with her husband of 30 years, volunteering for the Girl Scouts and spending time with her 3 adult children.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow. I'm gonna have to do one of
Thank you.
these.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm can't believe, when you count the years. I've been doing this a while.
Just a little bit, but what you've done, Lauren, go
Wow.
ahead and I know that
I know.
we're playing around with our new language fun noise background. We might be editing this part. Sometimes we'll ramble off and we'll say this is probably just going to get edited out right here, but can we get it? There we go.
Yeah. How to do one of those?
We're gonna have to do one of those.
I felt like we needed that after that
Oh my
intro.
gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very impressive. Very impressive, Kelly. So,
Thank you.
the first thing, and maybe not what the first thing people think of when they read your bio, but the first thing I read was, I want to know, are you really a Girl Scout?
I am. I'm like a lifetime member.
Oh
And
my
thank you for
gosh.
asking. I actually volunteer in a really special program. It's called Girl Scouts Beyond Bars. And it's for youth and their families who have incarcerated mothers or sisters. And so we have a special troop that goes up to have a Girl Scout meeting once a month with their mothers and inside the prison. And then we go outside and do regular Girl Scout things. So we're selling cookies, but I love those girls. My main role actually is driving. I drive, probably almost 200 miles on those days to pick up girls
Amazing.
at rural stops, gas stations and things where people drop them so they can go up and see their moms.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I mean, that's just amazing. I don't think I've known anybody who is involved in government as you, but then has the time to do something so incredibly important for women.
Right.
Oh, that's
Well,
just, I'm in awe. I'm the super fan now.
Yeah.
well, I have to be honest though. I mean, I'm now an empty nester. My 3 adult children don't live with us, and it's my husband and a cat. So I was looking for ways to get back into something besides just working and, running people to soccer practice and stuff like that.
Right, right. Well, and so that's why I thought, well, if you were a Girl Scout, which you definitely are, I wondered that your service in the Peace Corps, like, that's another extension of scouting, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, sort of. And actually, I am and was way too wimpy to actually be in the Peace Corps. I had a lot of classmates in my graduate program who had just come back from the Peace Corps, and they're all wonderful people, but I'm too wimpy. And so, yeah, my role there was I was living in Costa Rica with my husband, who's Costa Rican, and just had a baby. And I was looking for some professional opportunities. And so I worked for the training center.
Mm.
And my area was cross cultural training for volunteers when they were doing their 12 weeks of orientation. And
Okay.
they would live in a host family, and we'd go and visit their host families and talk a lot about the adjustment process and what to expect. And anyway, it was a great job. I loved my coworkers because most of them actually were Costa Ricans,
Mm.
teaching Spanish to the
Hmm.
to volunteers. So yeah.
So did you meet your husband in Costa Rica?
No, I met my husband uh, working at Central Washington University as an international student advisor for Japanese students, a very special program for Japanese students,
Wow.
not Costa Ricans. um, but yeah, we saw each other often at potlucks and river rafting trips for students, and that's where I met him. He was in the U.S. studying on a USAID scholarship, and then we got married and moved to Costa Rica.
Wow. So how long did you live in Costa Rica?
2 years. Yeah.
Okay, 2 years. And so
Yes.
did you conceive any children there, or were they all
Oh, yeah.
over here?
Well, I'm actually not sure where it happened. There's borderline, but yes, I'm gonna find. I've met women over the years who've given birth abroad, and we have a lot of really interesting stories. I
I
did
can
give birth in
imagine.
a public health hospital in Costa Rica. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And that was your first child?
Yeah.
Oh,
Again, who
goodness.
is that woman? I don't recognize her.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I'm still just sitting there going, is there anything that you can't do?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there's plenty.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't think there's anything wimpy about you. You
Yeah.
got married and had your baby in the public hospital in Costa Rica. And for our listeners, Costa Rica is a beautiful, beautiful country, and it's had major advances in the last decade. But, I also, as a child, spent time in Costa Rica,
Mhm.
and, it wasn't always that way, and depending on where you were at, and depending on the
Yes.
class you came from, services were either incredibly, limited, didn't exist, or you were very lucky and you were amongst the elite that had something that you
Yeah.
could or be lifted out of the country. Uh,
Yeah, that's a really good point. And hopefully we'll live there again when we retire, at least part of the year. But
nice.
I was there again 30 years ago. There were a lot less cars, and
Mhm.
my husband was from the country, from a little tiny coffee farm, and he remembers his first, when they got electricity and when they got a toilet with running water, um, and then over the years we've been involved with an exchange program, Oregon and Costa Rica. Yeah, these kids are coming and they're like, "Yes, we have a summer house at the beach and a pool and a maid." And I'm like, "That's not the Costa Rica I know."
Right,
Much more
right.
humble, but yeah, lovely people. And yeah, another thing was their great health system, which
Yeah.
still continues.
Yeah.
Now that's absolutely true, and one of the fun facts about Costa Rica that a lot of people don't know, they don't have a military, and
Yes.
yeah, and it's one of the countries that remains very safe, to live in as a national Costa Rican or a foreigner coming in and becoming nationalized. So I know a lot of people that are retiring there, a lot of people who've moved there, not even
Hmm.
retired, just to live there. And now with
Yes.
our global economy and our nomadic culture, people are really looking at places like Costa Rica to reinvent themselves and to have a different quality of life and to benefit. So I think we'll see the country continue to evolve, and it'll be interesting to know you after you've been there a while again as a different part of your life, not as a younger woman, but as an established woman, and to see what you think of the differences of the country, and if you prefer it or if you miss the days of no cars and less
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it will be really interesting because the other side is my husband's been living here for a very long time and he's changed, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so inching toward this going back, he's been going for a month every year since his dad passed, and he's been hanging out with his mom. And but yeah, he comes back with stories where, oh yeah, you've changed a lot, and the country's changed a lot, and it's not always as nostalgic or as you remember it. Um,
Right. Right.
Does
changed.
he want to move back more than you want to move back? Because with me dating someone that's from Guatemala, I want to move back more than he wants to move back. So I'm curious what that's like for you.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're talking about kind of 6 months, 6 months, but
Mhm.
he probably would like it more, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, there was a time when I called it the amnesia years when I had 3 kids and I was working full time, and you just do everything as fast as you can. And I was like, there's no way I can go back. But I'm in a different time in my life, and it
Yeah.
does look relaxing, and the sense
Yeah.
of family and connection is different. It's different
Yeah.
there.
So did you grow up in Oregon or did you? Yes. Okay.
Yes, I did. I did. But I was trying to get out of Oregon. I
Oh
mean,
my
another
goodness.
weird story. My When I was in high school, in a rural, small high school in Oregon, in the 80s,
Mhm.
there was still home economics class,
Yep.
and yeah, we made cream puffs and tried to sew an apron. But even worse was there was a club called Future Homemakers of America.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
the great thing about FHA was I was in home ec, and my teacher said, "Hey, there's this scholarship by Kikkoman Soy Sauce Company to send students to Japan for summer.
Mm.
So, and you should apply." And so I did. I mean, and I was totally naive. I had no real understanding of the world. My summer jobs were like hoeing mint fields and picking strawberries and
Typical
and
Oregonian.
yeah. So I spent a really amazing summer with a host family and between my junior and senior year of high school. And I mean, it changed my life. So
Yeah.
thank you, Future Homemakers of America. And I have made a home, by the way.
There you go. There you go.
Success.
It's actually probably one of the most practical classes that anyone could take because, you learn how to measure. You have to use math, right? You have to learn what you have to put in a recipe or what you have to measure to create drapes or whatever it is you're sewing. I mean, there's some very practical lessons in home
Yeah.
ec. I
Well, there are.
unfortunately skipped it. Yeah, I wish I would have taken the class. I ended up taking something else. I was like, I'm not taking it. I was protesting because I thought, oh my gosh, it's the 80s and I'm still in a home ec class. So,
Uh
but
huh.
then we
Yeah,
did have
super
some
embarrassing.
boys. Yeah, it was very embarrassing. Yeah, I'm glad you feel my pain. I'll share that with you. And I do regret though that I didn't take it. I had friends that were guys that took it and they loved it, but I think they did it because they wanted to meet girls. So
Uh huh.
that was
Yeah,
part of their motivation of
that's
taking
the
that
old
class.
way. Um,
Yeah.
and then, later I taught, after college, I taught English in Japan on
Yeah,
it's
so
called
I
a,
wanna hear about that because so you
yeah,
you had this summer and then you went to school and then you're like, "Okay, I'm headed back." Was it like, "I've gotta get back to Japan now that I've been there?" Were you
yes.
planning on just being there the rest of your life?
No, I was so enthralled. I was like, I've got to get back to Japan. I've got to find a way. So, I mean, I only looked at colleges that had Japanese programs and
Wow.
went to the University of Oregon. And then when I was in college, I couldn't really afford study abroad to Japan,
Yeah.
which was my dream. So I was trying to figure out how can I get back. So I ended up doing one summer I did an internship. I can't remember how it happened, but again, a weird story. It was an internship with Seibu, which is a giant conglomerate department store chains. They had
Wow.
you could go to Japan and work in their restaurants.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
I worked
okay.
in a cookie factory and I worked at a
Oh.
cookie stand in the department
Wow.
store. And then I worked at like a lunch place.
Hmm.
They call it salarymen. They come in and have these set lunches, and
Yeah.
so I practiced my Japanese, and um, then I was still, looking for ways. So the Japan exchange program, or Japan exchange teacher program for the
Hmm.
Japanese embassy, was just starting, and it's a year for college graduates to teach English, be a human tape recorder in middle schools. I was in well, 5 middle schools. So yeah, and I co-taught English. I was the native speaker in public schools for 2 years. So I
Wow.
renewed.
Wow. And now,
But I
what
was
city was this
thinking,
in Japan? What city
what's
were
that?
you in? What city were you in?
I was in Irumashi, which is northwest of Tokyo. A lot
Okay.
of people rode the train in maybe 45 minutes to
Hmm.
to I think Western Tokyo. Yeah, yeah.
Did
So
And did that was must have been really exciting. I mean, because Oregon, we have TriMet, which is great, and if you're in Portland, but outside of when you've got the what is it, Amtrak that goes up and down the state,
yeah,
not
if
too
it's
much, maybe
on
a little
time, or
across.
they
Yeah,
put you on a bus instead.
and they stick you on a
Yeah.
bus
No,
most of
yeah,
the time.
it was just mind-boggling. The trains, the kids cleaning their own school, and serving lunches.
Wow.
Turn on the music, everyone, including the teachers, all start scrubbing the floors in the bathrooms. Um,
Wow.
they had home ec where the kids made just their home ec was fancier, like an apple that's carved like a swan, and
Oh my gosh.
beautiful. You've seen Japanese food; the
Right.
presentation is
Yeah.
everything. So,
Right.
like, they were doing those classes, and I kind of learned about Japanese and their relationship with English, love hate relationship, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, two
I think
years.
we we have those similar relationships. I think most Americans have that love-hate relationship with the French. I think that's very shared in our culture where we are envious because we think it sounds beautiful, but then we are like, oh, the French. Oh, yeah. It's just cultural differences. But I
Yeah.
do know the Japanese, they very much want to learn English. And it is difficult. I mean, because you're talking about also just for those of you learning languages, we're talking about the palate of your mouth learning to pronounce things a certain way, and then all of a sudden you have to make some accommodations that your mouth doesn't want to make, and it makes it very difficult. The one good thing though that you did was that you married a Costa Rican later, so you could transfer those sounds that you learned in Japanese to your
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yes, I've heard that. Like your second and third languages, you've learned a lot of strategic skills in your brain to pick up
Right.
languages.
But
Yeah.
Japanese and Spanish phonetically
Yeah.
have very similar
Yes.
sounds. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, so it's very easy. It's actually easier for the Japanese businessmen that we used to teach for them to learn Spanish
Spanish.
than to learn
Yes.
English. Yeah, it was
Definitely.
yeah,
I found that
that's
to be
amazing.
true.
Yeah.
And at that time, my dream had been to speak Japanese and read and write Japanese, and I had
Right.
formally studied. And but after 2 years, I was like, oh my gosh, I am never gonna be as fluent as I want to be here. I tried, but it's just it's a very difficult language,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
Yeah.
the syntax is different, the
Mhm.
writing is different, even the direction of the writing, and the
Right.
phonetic kanji, right? So you have to
Right.
memorize basically pictographs, like
Mhm.
10,000 to read a newspaper.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah.
I wimped out. I met a Ecuadorian couple who were teaching Spanish in Japan and English, and started hanging out at Mr. Donut to
Mr.
learn
Donut.
Spanish. And
Okay.
then he hooked me up with a nonprofit organization in Ecuador that helps children learn English, and you know uh, allows them to go to like higher level high schools and so on. And so yeah, I was trying to get out of Japan, and then I fell in love with Spanish.
Okay,
So
okay. That's a
I
well, that's an
have
easy thing to do.
I have an interesting fact that I will fact check later, but from what I've
Okay.
heard, it takes on average probably somewhere around 400 hours to really get a hold of the language of Spanish. But I hear with Japanese, it's upwards of 2,000 hours.
Really?
So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a huge jump from both of those languages. But
Right.
the one thing is, since I've learned my broken Spanish that I have now, I can understand Japanese a little bit better because
Hmm.
of the way that it sounds. And so it's a very, I think it's very helpful if you learn Spanish to then try to learn Japanese, but you're going to have to study 6 times more.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's interesting to note this too, because Lauren's boyfriend learned Japanese because he's a huge fan of anime. And this
Okay.
whole new generation of anime lovers, he's also a graphic designer. So, there's
Yeah, he just loves the culture and
Oh.
yeah.
everything about
Oh,
So
yeah.
he can't wait to go. So he's learned so much Japanese just by watching films and playing video games and listening to it in Japanese. And that's actually how he learned his English, was just playing video games. And that
That is
we've been hearing that
amazing.
story. Yeah, we've been hearing
Yeah.
that story a lot actually.
Really.
We've been yeah, it's the new way. It's quite interesting that things are happening. And then it's not even just Spanish. We were meeting with a woman who's Quebecois last week. We had a business meeting with her, and she was talking about how the kids in Quebec are losing their native language because they're playing video games in English. They're
Uh-huh.
watching serials and
Netflix.
Netflix,
Yeah.
everything in English. And so they're not
Hollywood.
really, they're losing so much. And she says it's quite tragic because if those listeners out there know anything about the Quebecois, they're purists. Their French is like from the 1500s.
Oh,
So
my.
it's they don't allow any words to come in that are
Uh-huh.
not
Protect their language.
the technical word, or they make one. If they will not anglicize anything, whereas Japanese and Spanish, we're
Oh,
anglicizing
Mhm.
yeah.
everything.
They embrace it all.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
completely.
and then I was doing some research recently, for our Translation Advisory Council. We were going to do some training. And so I started, I say, lurking in LinkedIn and, online translator uh, communications. I was Googling, what do you think of reviewers? And, but anyway, so I stumbled across, I'm still learning about localization, like really
Right.
Yeah.
solidifying it, but there's a lot of talk on these groups, or maybe I just found someone, but localizing the Japanese video games is
Yes.
huge, and
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of conversation about how to do that. So
Right.
it put practice, it gave me a solid thing to kind of latch onto, like, what does that really mean? But it
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
makes me remember how popular video games are and the Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And my friend,
Yeah.
her college student and another friend, like, again, you wouldn't imagine these two boys, but
Mhm.
they were on a mission to go to Japan over the break, and they had this fabulous itinerary, but it was sparked by this interest in the Japanese culture from manga and anime and maybe
Wow.
video games, probably.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get right into what we're doing with the TAC Council, and how we actually met before. But before I get there, I
Yeah.
do want to touch one more thing. You mentioned about home ec and how everybody, when the music started, and people had to clean the schools and clean the bathrooms. I just recently watched, because sometimes I get insomnia, people, and I'm just like scrolling through Instagram
No,
reels. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it
Doom
happens.
scrolling.
I'm scrolling. Yeah. So there was a Japanese gentleman. He was an English teacher. He was not a native English teacher, but he was a Japanese native speaker, but teaching English in Japan, like, all countries have. And he was talking about how we need to make ourselves happier, and how the people who are in some of the biggest corporations of Japan, those CEOs still clean their own toilet every day, because cleaning your toilet is one of the keys in Japan that is believed to have a happy life. Have a clean toilet every. I have never heard that ever.
I
Well,
I'm like, what is
yeah.
that about?
I mean, they have the best toilets in the world
They
too,
they
though.
Oh,
do.
yeah.
They
They do.
do.
I
They
mean,
do.
They
I'd
practically
probably clean
clean.
it too if
Yeah,
that was that nice toilet.
they practically clean
High
themselves,
quality
those
porcelain.
toilets. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I'd add to that too. again, like at the U of O, I met Japanese exchange students, and one, what was her degree? Art history. Well, she
Okay.
ended up working for a Japanese cosmetic brand, um,
Nice.
but she's still this. Maybe it's changed now. I kind of think it hasn't, but she's part of her job was emptying ashtrays uh,
Oh,
in the
okay.
morning and making tea, even though.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think it still lingers, but for sure,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning schools, everybody does it, boys and girls.
that's good. No, that is something, and there was something in the news yesterday that they're getting rid of the Naked Japanese Man
Oh yeah,
annual
I read about that.
run or whatever it is that they're doing, and
Oh,
they showed a little clip of them, but they weren't outside running naked. I mean, when I think of that, I always think of the one in England, but
Or the naked bike ride
or
in
the naked
Portland.
bike
I was
ride
gonna
in
say
Portland.
naked bike ride
Yeah,
in Portland. I can't imagine that one.
that one.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, the naked bike ride in Portland. I have not participated, but Lauren's brother did
yeah.
it annually
Which
with his
also
friends.
is Melissa's son.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, that's Lauren's brother when he does that.
Oh,
I
Okay.
don't.
awesome. I'm gonna
I
use that one too.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
brother.
because it's her brother, and I don't have to think about it that way. I'm just not. I don't want to.
Yeah, he was a pretty proud attendee for how
Yeah,
many years?
yeah.
4 or 5 years, something like
Yeah,
that.
Wow.
very
That
much,
is
very
dedicated.
much. Yeah, very
Yeah.
dedicated. When he goes out and does social justice protests, then he's my son. But when he does the naked bike ride, he's Lauren's brother. So I'm like,
Awesome.
yeah, not my child at that
Oh
moment.
gosh.
So, but he has now continued his public display of his body, but in ways that will not get him arrested. He's recently become a hand model for his new company,
Yeah.
Huh.
and that was exciting. So, um,
Wow. Well,
yeah,
In
he's
the food
another one
industry.
from listening to the podcast. I feel like I know him.
yes,
Him and
Yeah.
yes,
Richard.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
okay, and that was the other thing. Richard is off getting married, so he apologizes that he cannot
He's
be
like
on the
he's still getting
podcast.
married. Come on.
Yeah.
He's had some challenges getting married because he's getting married in this previous Soviet bloc country, and he spent some
Ugh,
time in Portland having to get paperwork, and then
Yeah.
he had to leave Spain and go there, and then now he's in that country, which
wow.
for his own privacy, we're not saying where.
Yeah.
And yeah,
But he's
he's
in
going to be
love.
getting married. He's in love.
Oh
He is
yeah.
head over heels in love. I've never seen that man more in love than
Oh,
ever.
wow.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in love.
Wow.
So it's a good thing. We're all happy for him, but I was really hoping that he was going to be on the podcast, particularly with you because of the Japanese connection. But to
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest with you, he'll even tell you he's not a real Japanese person. He's
Yeah.
he's
But it's
not.
his heritage.
It's his heritage. It's his heritage. He goes every so often. He's taken his fiance there,
Yeah, they went
and
last year.
they went last year. They had a very
He's
good
Japanese.
time. Yeah, and so he doesn't speak the
Yeah.
language, but whatever.
I'm hoping to get him on this season for an episode to talk about his experiences because he's had
Coming to
some
Japan.
stories
Yeah.
and just in general living where he is now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
hopefully
Well,
we'll
I've
get an
always
update.
enjoyed listening to the podcast and the way you guys play off each other and your different experiences. And he seems like a
Thank
very
you.
thoughtful person,
He
thought-provoking person.
he
Oh
is.
yeah.
He really is.
A
So
thinker.
yeah, he's a thinker for sure. One of the things though that we all share in common, and I don't know how you feel about this because I have to before we go on to our next, I have to ask this question: Are you a ramen head?
No.
Oh, okay. See, we're all ramen heads, and wherever we go, we try to find ramen. Like every place.
Ramen's good.
Yeah, it's
It's good.
good.
But I would
It,
say my husband's a ramen head. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah. He's always
Now,
yeah. Let's go out for ramen. I love it, but
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
ramen.
with you, Kelly. I'm more of I'd rather get maybe sushi or something else.
Oh, I love the rice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Japanese
Yeah.
rice.
But I don't know. There's
Yeah.
just something about ramen. It's just so satisfying. And how long was your
Kogi.
husband in Japan?
Well, he was never in Japan except when
Oh,
we
he was
went to
never
visit.
in Japan. Okay, when you went to visit. For
Yeah,
some reason, okay, just you were there.
but
Okay.
yeah, because that was before we were married. But we did go to Japan when I used to work for a university. I went to Japan once a year to recruit students, and so he went
Nice.
with me. It was good.
Wow.
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, he liked it.
Oh,
He just
that's good.
didn't like one time we went with a baby in tow, and he was the babysitter. And it wasn't because he's not a good babysitter, but it was, yeah, it's challenging to travel with a baby.
Yes, it is. Very much. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you did that one. We didn't start traveling till Lauren was 9.
Mhm.
I
Oh
think
wow.
actually we did one,
Internationally,
yeah,
yeah.
internationally. Look, domestically, yeah, when she was younger. I think our first family vacation, you were 4 when we went to Disney World.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
Wow.
probably the first big one I remember.
that
And
was the
a
big
couple of
one.
times we traveled from
Yeah.
Seattle,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We did the
yeah,
local
like
Seattle.
local stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
When I
know.
was a
Well,
kid, we never went on vacation. It was pretty much just camping.
oh,
Um,
that's
but
nice.
yeah, but yeah, in Oregon, it's beautiful.
I was gonna
But
say,
my kids have traveled a lot their whole life.
Well, maybe they're inspired by you.
Yeah, my daughter taught English in Spain last year.
That's right. She
From
wasn't
my
too far
sister.
from us. Yeah.
Yeah, she
And
was in Sevilla.
yeah,
is
do
she
you
still
think she's coming
there?
back? Is she going to
She
come back
came
and do it
back. It
again?
was a 1-year program,
Okay.
and she came back last spring.
Do you think
So
she's going to ever go back to Spain?
I don't think so. No,
No.
I think
One and
she's
done.
one and done.
In that area too, it's totally different than a lot of other areas of Spain. So I can imagine if it wasn't her vibe,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's
Could
not my
have some.
vibe. That's why, like, I mean, I love to go for a weekend or something like that, but to live there, I couldn't do the heat.
yes.
That it's so
Oh my
hot
Yeah.
there.
gosh. In
No.
May it was 100. I guess
Yeah.
April it was almost 100 degrees in
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sevilla.
because you came to visit her and
Yeah. My friend said it's the frying pan of Spain,
it
Exactly.
is.
sartenilla or something,
Yeah,
Yeah.
de España.
exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, but I think it had more to do with she had a new boyfriend. So they were met and then she was apart and now she's back. So
Yeah, that'll
Love.
do it. That'll bring
Lauren
you back
knows
those
long distance.
Yeah.
relationships.
I do.
Well, speaking of relationships, I'm going to segue over to that. Maybe people are wondering, how do we know this impressive person? Because, we're just who we are. But she's all of this. And we are very, very fortunate that the people that sponsor this podcast, our company, Barbier International, is working with Kelly currently at the Secretary of State's office. And we are incredibly honored to be a part of the process of language access for Oregonians. And
Hmm.
let me just touch on that just a little bit. Language access is a topic near and dear to our hearts at what we do professionally for Barbier, because when you have access to language as a citizen or a resident or a person living in a country, it means that you're able to engage more with government. It means that you're able to understand your rights and understand the customs and understand what it is that you should be doing for your new country of residence as a civilian. And it's incredibly important to have that expressed to you in a language that you can understand so that you can assimilate. So many people think language access means that you're going to continue to separate and not assimilate into a culture, but the more access there is to language, the more people assimilate, and that is something you can all fact check me on, but I know that that's a
Yeah.
truth in our industry. It's proven time in and time out. So we've been lucky enough to work with Kelly and provide translation services for this particular new piece of legislation. We're so thrilled to be able to be a part of this, Kelly, and we're always so grateful that we were elected, so to speak, to be in this role. But you are also new to this role because you have been working with the certification of interpreters, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're over here doing translation, which
Uh-huh.
is not interpreting, which a lot of
Right.
people don't understand.
Right.
Um,
Oh my gosh. Tell NPR.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally not the same thing, and just for the audience out there, translation is written document translation. Has nothing to do with the spoken word. That's all interpreting. And anything spoken or signed is interpreting. You can do some sight translation, which is just reading a document out loud, but that's still the act of thinking about how to translate those words without
Hmm.
it being something in a conversation. Uh, but I'm really grateful that the state of Oregon is doing this. I know there are other states out there. To dial this back just a little bit, I think it's best to start with a question that I think most people are going to ask, because I just know lately people are just not up to understanding government as maybe they had been a few generations back.
Oh, yeah.
So what is a Secretary of State, and do you have a desk?
Did you say, do we have desks?
Yeah, secretary's desk. It's a
Oh,
secretary. Is it the state
I
desk?
see.
What's a
Okay.
Secretary of State?
Well, yeah, I think every state has one. Pretty sure it's called Secretary because there's a National Association of Secretary of States. Yeah. Um, the Secretary of State is the chief elections officer in every state. And so they oversee elections and federal laws and local laws about elections. They work very closely with, in Oregon, counties um, who have either elected or appointed clerks to run elections. And then all the staff and volunteers from in Oregon Vote by Mail. They have volunteers that go to secure drop off boxes, which we've been talking about with Russian translators recently. What's a drop box compared to a ballot box?
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh. Um, yeah, so, and then our Secretary of State also has archives or state archives, state auditing, state corporate business division, um, as well as public services. So I'm not sure about other states, but yeah, there is desks, and it's an elected
Good.
position in Oregon, which is kind of interesting. And again, that's something we've been talking recently about with the translators is what does it mean for a partisan elected position, but then they serve all of their constituents and, you know, in a not neutral, but
In a role.
just like they're
Yeah.
not a Democrat only or a Republican only
Right.
doing their thing. But yeah, so it's very interesting. And my colleagues in elections are just a dream to work with. They have so much information and knowledge. They work really well with the public. Right now, we have filings for the primary in Oregon for candidates,
Hmm.
and it's very busy. And then ballot measures are very interesting. It's kind of like when I started working at the judicial department. I read the newspaper differently after that, like reading
Yeah.
I
about
can imagine.
justice and criminal justice and public policy. So same thing. It's like elections are, well, behind the scenes elections is really fascinating.
Yeah. You know what? It has been. I feel like I'm in the VIP club.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
it's just amazing to be able to know what's happening at the forefront of the state. Because
Yeah,
elections are
I
everything,
feel like
right?
that too.
Yeah, and
I
all
feel
Yeah.
like that too.
the thought that goes behind every single piece of paperwork. I know that we can speak about Oregon in this situation, but wow, I mean it's something that I think every Oregonian should know is how much effort, how much sweat, blood, and tears
Yeah.
it goes into this.
Yeah.
No,
It's
these are
incredible.
very, very dedicated public servants. And it's a shame, I mean, that some people don't understand that or they think that they have so much staff and time that they could be doing nefarious things in the closet. It's just like they are working
Yeah.
their buns off.
Yeah, they are.
Very,
Yeah, they are.
very dedicated people and our work working translating voters pamphlets. I mean, what could be more meaningful than
Right.
providing access to democracy? I
Oh my
love
Exactly.
it.
gosh.
It
Yeah.
is exactly that. Providing access to democracy. I think you've just titled the
Wow.
podcast.
Yeah.
That's it. Look at the
Oh,
wisdom there. That's
well, I'm
amazing.
loving this work. Thank you.
Well, and it shows. I mean,
Yeah.
you write some of the best emails I've ever read. Uh,
Yeah.
they
I
are
like to be clear.
they're extremely clear. So for our audience, her emails read like a set of instructions before you're going to start writing your dissertation. They are truly amazing. And wherever U of O, you did a great job with this
Yeah.
one. Shout out
Interesting.
to U of O and to the
Interesting.
program you went to,
Thank
because
you.
your writing is amazing. And I fancy myself a pretty good writer. I am just in awe every time. I don't even have to necessarily work with your particular project all the time, but I just read your emails just for the fun of it because it's just great. It's fun.
Now I'm gonna think about that. But you know where that comes from? I mean, I love writing too, but it's because we work remotely. Our
That's it.
relationship is remote, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have to be extremely clear and clarify and make sure all the expectations are the same because it trips us up sometimes, and not just our group, but um, so yeah. And then different time zones.
Right.
People's
Right.
time is really valuable, but
Right.
that's what I've loved about this program is, I mean, just given the reins to set it up. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
envision it, think about it, how to fit it into, uh, statutory timelines for elections. They
Mhm.
never,
Mhm.
never imagined adding one, translations, or two, a council to review the translations,
Right.
Right. Right.
And we've come up with a review form that we all work together on. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, the council, we could talk a little bit about them. Like,
Yeah.
again, when you were mentioning, newcomers,
Mhm.
it was give and take. Like these we have 25 members who speak 13 different languages, and some of
Right.
them, dabble in translation or are translators, but most of them are not. They're cultural liaisons to
Mhm.
their communities, and they give so much of their time. They are reviewing the translations before they're finalized. They're looking for cultural appropriateness. They're looking for things that make sense in Oregon that might be different in California.
Right.
Um, and then some of the languages, I mean, I'm sure this is true in many of your projects, but these terms do not exist at all, like Marshallese, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
um, Ukrainian,
Lacunas.
we spend a lot
Mhm.
of time talking about how the language is evolving there,
Mhm.
and the words matter.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Right.
love these people.
No, and we actually for everyone listening again, the thing that's wonderful is that the TAC, the Translation Advisory Council, we're able to work with them and ensure that we are creating a message that is conveyed in the way Oregonians need to read it. And we need to always be cognizant of that, obviously, in our industry. But this particular opportunity, I'm going to call it an opportunity that we don't always get,
Yeah.
is that we get direct feedback, but we also get to learn what is and what isn't working in terms of stylistic changes or that we want to implement or it goes back and forth. Sometimes it's suggested to put
Hmm.
something in and we all kind of have this collaborative vote of yes, no, maybe. And I think it works very well because it also feels very democratic. It also feels like we're participating in this election in a way of
Yeah,
creating something. And I just enjoy it so much. And I'm hoping that more government entities and even private entities will think about using an advisory council of this type because it doesn't really take a lot of effort to reach out to the community and see who's willing to participate.
yeah, they're
And
out there.
they're out there. They definitely are. And I think you have a program that they receive a stipend
Hmm.
and so it's something that people are valued for their time. A lot of people are volunteering way past whatever the stipend is because it's not humongous, but it's just something to say thank you.
Yeah, the stipend is really just meant to be a thank you, but um, they spend a lot of time, and we've been working on our glossary this year in all the
Yes.
languages. That's been very interesting to have
Yes.
their input.
Well, and that's the thing too, because the glossaries, we need to have glossaries and a way that's authored so that they're ready for translation. And
Yeah.
most people now understand the concept of plain language in English, where you have to have it readied so it can be translated, and you don't have a lot of things like acronyms or hyphenations or abbreviations,
Hmm.
and anything that could prevent something or slang that could prevent it from being well understood,
Yeah.
basically.
And I've seen this new uprising. I'll call it an uprising in the best way of glossary creation across the board in the language industry.
Yes.
I've seen more ask for glossary creations in these
It's
last 2
interesting.
years than I have in the last 15.
Well, we
And
can
Mhm.
write the book
yeah, I
Yes, we
was
together
can. Yes, we
about
yes,
how to
can.
do it.
Yeah.
because it is so it was almost looked upon in the past as uh like a just this amazing thing if you had a glossary, like it was the creme fraiche of everything, you know. And now it's like, okay, well, we need this as a baseline.
Right.
And
Ah,
I
uh-huh.
see the value of, well, I mean, obviously, we all see the value of having it. It helps everyone understand what the goal is from the
Mhm.
beginning.
Mhm.
But I've just seen a huge uprising in clients asking for this, and people creating them. So
Yeah.
It's
I'm
amazing.
I'm happy to see that it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. For us, obviously, there's just a lot of election terms that really need defined, and um, so it's an educational piece for our audience, but for the translators and the council themselves, like agreeing on how to use the terms consistently, it will, it's saving
Right.
a
Yeah.
ton of time. Um, and I was thinking when you said uprising, I thought you were going to say something like maybe the translation community would see it as a way of squelching their creativity or something, but
Oh, no.
um, government documents, official documents, and there's so much legalese. I did learn that at
Mhm.
the judicial
Mhm.
department that terms don't exist in other languages or the systems are so different.
Right.
And so you have to be pretty precise. You have to be very precise with a lot of the terms.
Right,
Oh yeah.
right. We're still trying to understand who's been elected or not elected here in Spain. We still don't
Oh,
get it. Like,
yes.
yeah, we have no
Yeah.
idea.
Yep.
We think
It's very
somebody is
Spanish.
elected. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then somebody was in court the other day, and it's, again, these different things when you are an immigrant and you're learning the new system,
Yeah.
and there's a tribunal instead of one judge and a
Yes.
jury. So, yeah, I don't ever wanna go to court here. I don't ever wanna be
Oh, you don't
called in
want to go to
front of
court
it.
here either.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true. Yeah, either way, though, it's really interesting to see the differences. So, to your point, when we're talking about countries and communities that have smaller different types of judicial systems, or smaller or larger, or just, a different
Hmm.
structure, and we're trying to communicate the American system into these languages where, like you said, it doesn't exist. That's the transcreation part that we have
Yeah.
to come up with.
Yeah.
And the advisory council's been very helpful in that transcreation process. And it's really, all it does is opens up the ability to become even more creative, because that's what
Hmm.
transcreation is about. So I
Hmm.
I argue the opposite. I definitely think that the uprising is a good thing, and it needs to happen. Like Lauren said, it needs to be the baseline, so that anything going forward, you have this, basically creating a Bible to go back to and say, this is what we have to adhere to. We need to adhere to this document. So everything we translate here, this after, it's the terms that we have preferred.
Hmm.
And language is living, and language will be updated, but you at least have a history of why you were using that term. And then you can have a history of why it was updated, and when was that, and why was this decision was made about that. So, I mean, it makes everything very well documented, and it allows the translator to understand the history of why this term is being used. And I think there's just so much more that goes into translation than what people think.
Oh,
And,
yes.
yeah,
Yes. And there's the cultural part. I mean,
right,
it's fascinating to think about immigrants and joining our system. A lot of people from different countries, their interactions and understanding or trust of their government back home affects their interactions with the government here. And I
right,
also
Hmm.
see this as a way of showing our value of openness and inclusion and trust in the system.
right.
Um, so the way we translate the words matters. It does.
It really does.
completely.
It really does. Because I always think of just like a real simple explanation that you'll know this one. When somebody says that they're sick in Spanish and they might use the term grave. And then in English, that's grave, like they're dying.
Yeah.
And so, but you don't mean that you're dying in Spanish if you say you're grave. You're just really sick, but you're not on your deathbed. And just little things like that in language, if you extrapolate that and you apply it to a judicial term, that judicial term could mean something far more um, serious
Yeah. Carry different
in
weight.
right, carry a
Mhm.
much different weight, have carry a much more serious tone, and it's up to us to make sure that we can convey the differences. But yeah, no, we're really excited about that, and I'm very excited that you have been able to make the transition from one department to the next and really embrace it and bring with that all the knowledge you've had in all the other different departments in your personal life and your education. But it feels like this culmination of all of it was leading you to this moment.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
I
yeah.
do too. Our elections director, she saw the development of the legislation to do this, and it came up with this position to get it going, included in the fiscal for it. And she told me, she said, I don't know how we're going to find someone who has the project management, the cultural sensitivity, the experience with languages and cultures and convening groups around, basically work groups. And yeah, so I told her I didn't know. It's just serendipity. Like it was
Yeah.
made for me. And the best thing about this job right now compared to all the others is,
Mhm.
um, well, maybe at this time in my life, it's just that it's a project. It's
Mhm.
very focused, and they've given resources to do it. It's not like
Yeah.
Right.
scrabbling. I get to focus on this every day. I'm not pulled in a lot of different directions. That's what I really
Right.
am
Right.
enjoying about the work too. Is it's so
Yeah.
focused, and there's something to show for it. Like every 3 or 4 months, we show our work
Right.
in an
Right.
election.
And then next year there'll be 4 more languages, so it'll be what, 18 by
Yeah,
next January. That's
yeah, we're
amazing.
waiting for
Yeah.
to see if that bill passes. That
Yeah,
came from advocacy from other groups that said we want to have translations too. And
right,
so there if there's a bill in our short session which ends next month, to change the formula for including languages, which would increase them.
well, maybe what we can do is we can write that book, and then we can go on a 50-state tour
Yeah.
and get all the rest of the
Yeah.
states to do it.
Yeah. So important.
Oh, yeah, that would be, yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
we could
Well,
just
and
travel for fun too.
and a shout out to our council. This week, our secretary awarded a John Lewis Youth Leadership Award from Secretary of State's. Every Secretary of State can award someone. Um, but John Lewis was a civil rights leader and had a long career in Congress,
Right,
for the people,
right.
and very extraordinary person. And so, yeah, we had two of our translation advisory council. One is 17 years old,
Mm,
speaks Chinese, and is involved in her community, and then an, an amazing student in high school. She's probably going to be at Stanford or Harvard next year. And
wow.
then the other one is, at Oregon State University, and he's a young man he was the chair of the Salem Human Rights Commission when he was in high
Wow.
school.
Wow.
He's worked on all kinds of local and like school board and then state and federal campaigns. He's a member of the student body government, and right now he's running for, I think, vice president of student body government. And
Amazing.
so Angelo and Renee, they are top notch. But these are young people who are incredibly busy, and they're on the council. It's just amazing.
And that's those people that when I hear these wonderful stories, because as you know, I used to be an educator and I used to love knowing where did my kids go? Where did they head to? And
Yeah.
when you get to see their lives unfold, it's amazing, and it just warms your heart knowing that they went off and did something truly amazing that you knew that they would do. And they may not even be able to recognize it right now. And then some
Oh
of
yeah.
them know they're great, but they don't know the difference between what we're seeing and what they might be experiencing, because
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
incredible
that's a
when
really
you
good
have young
point.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just the American success, definition of
Right.
success. They're giving back. They're involved, and they're
Right.
not jaded.
Exactly.
They see the potential still.
They
It's
do.
amazing.
And that's the thing that we need to keep in mind. And so I know we're coming up on a wrap here for our wonderful guest here today, but I want to keep everyone thinking of the fact that what Kelly has done with her life, she was that student. She was
Yeah.
that
Oh,
person that had that dream and went and lived it. And look what she's done now. And I don't think that there is much people could be doing in government that's more effective
Important.
and more important than what you're doing. Like you said, our elections, keeping our democracy viable and also pure and out
hmm
there, and people can have access to the
and trust in it.
information.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's no hidden agenda with what you're
And on
doing.
top of that, the Girl Scouts
And
on
the
the
Girl
side
Scout,
is
see,
just
she's a
that's
Girl
just a
Scout.
side gig,
Yeah,
helping the community in that way.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
amazing what
And
that's so
what
I
you
kind
get
and
to
of
do.
you.
But it's also great though, because you're affecting women, young women
Yeah.
whose mothers,
Yes,
for whatever reason, I cannot be
yes,
with them right now, are incarcerated, but they are given an opportunity to continue their family connection and to learn how
yes,
to value their parent in a way maybe that they wouldn't otherwise. And
yes. It's
I
not just a visit. They're
right,
actually in a troop together. They're talking about how to budget and, you know, you do their finances and what
right.
careers look like. And it's so amazing.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's got to be so rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a Girl Scout. I was a brownie and then dropped out. So,
Yeah, that's
uh,
the usual, of course.
yeah, yeah. I didn't have parents that were excited to take me to things. I mean, I think my mom was much more excited when I was singing because she got to come see the plays. You can't really see what Girl Scouts do. Not as much.
I tried to
Just
get
the cookies.
involved, but at
Yeah,
that
that's true.
time I wanted to do the things the Boy Scouts were doing, and they
Yeah,
had
Oh,
a
yes.
separation at that time, which now I understand is not the case, but yeah, I wanted to go camping and learn how to tie knots and all those
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
and I know now they're doing it more, so I love
I
that.
think it's yeah, they're trying to maintain relevancy in the world we
mhm,
live in.
mhm.
And it's difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
even just the model of a volunteer parent spending time with
right.
planning and everything is has changed a lot. Um, but yeah, these girls are going to benefit and they get
Well,
to see their mom.
they're
Yeah.
gonna benefit because they know you also, and I think that that's
Oh,
amazing. So, and I'm sure your daughters, all 3 daughters, correct?
two
I think
girls,
it
one boy.
yeah. Oh, and there's
Yeah,
a
my
boy.
son said to
Okay.
give him a shout out.
Alright.
Santiago. Shout out.
Okay. Okay. We
Two
got a
girls and a
shout
boy.
out. Alright. Is there anything else that you wanna leave us with before we conclude today?
Vote.
Yeah, I
See?
was
There
gonna
you go.
say,
Good.
get
Let me
out
got
there
the
and
message.
vote.
Get out and vote,
Yeah.
people.
In Oregon, it's 21 days before the election to update to register if you haven't, or
Right.
change your address. But yeah, it's going to be happening in all states. Primaries are in different months. Ours is in May, but of course the general election is in November, and
Right.
it makes a difference,
It
especially in
makes a
local
huge difference.
races.
Yes, it does. Yes,
A
it
few
does.
votes can make a difference.
They really can, and please don't be jaded out there, people. I actually know
Yes,
that I won't be in Oregon when I have time to vote, but I've already signed up with my county to receive my vote by, what is it called? Not vote by mail, because we
absentee.
always do that. The absentee
Absentee.
ballot. Yes, I already have
Yeah,
my absentee ballot signed up. I'm ready to do
no,
that. I'm
isn't that
excited.
great?
It
You can
is.
do that. It's so
It is.
amazing.
You can vote. You can be anywhere in the world and still vote, and that's a gift that the United States has. I don't believe that that is the case in every country, so I
Right.
Yeah.
take full advantage of it, and I've always participated in the election process. So,
Yeah.
um,
So
well,
it's a
I am very
responsibility and an honor and a privilege to vote.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well
And it's one
said.
that we should never, ever take for granted, because without voting, we're going to not know what's coming next. We got to remain free. We got to remain able. So,
Yeah.
so I just want to thank you again for everything that you've shared with us today. And I really, really, truly uh, know you better now from understanding your journey. But I'm just so in awe of you. And we tease Kelly and call her our super fan at Translate This, because she was one of the first people to say, "Hey, I am listening. I am one of those three and a
Yeah.
half people out there listening." So, and she's been so encouraging all season one, sending me little notes of once in a while saying, "Oh, that was funny. Oh, I like that." And it was just such a kick in the pants to know that she was listening. So we
Thank
really
you.
wanted to have her on the show. Yeah, no, thank
Yeah.
you.
And
And
likewise to you and your colleagues. Thank you.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Great to
well,
work with.
Lauren's doing a great job filling in while Richard's off doing his thing. So I'm excited to see this journey of season 2 here with Translate This,
Yeah.
because she's got a lot of interesting topics. Yeah, Kelly, you're gonna be wowed with some of the things that the millennials are going to be bringing to the table
God.
this season.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready, people. We're
My
going to have
favorite episode was Gen X, Gen Z, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. So that's what's coming next. So it's going to be fun. So we'll have perspective that's a little different than the two Gen Xers that were season 1. Well,
Yes.
this has been another incredible episode of Translate This.
Yes.
And Kelly, I am just, anytime you want to come back, you are more than welcome. We would love to have you as a guest if there's anything exciting going on. And before we conclude, the last question is, where are you traveling to next?
Well, we just got back from Turkey, which was amazing. And next, we're thinking of going to Oaxaca, Mexico, and learning how to cook mole and learn about the culture there.
Jealous. Oh, that sounds great. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to leave on that note for our listeners. They're all going to be jealous if you go in and eating some wonderful mole. It's so good.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so very much. And this has been a great episode again. I'm so excited for you all to listen to this. You're going to love every single word. Have a great day,
Thank you for the
everyone.
invitation.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.